He counted on her fear. He counted on her silence. He counted on the fact that women like her don't get justice. He was wrong about all of it.
A man will spend the rest of his life in prison after a Collin County jury found him guilty of aggravated sexual assault.
Detarian Fenley was first arrested in 2024, accused of assaulting a woman at a Plano hotel. Investigators say he attacked several women using the same MO, preying on a very specific vulnerability. Fox 4's David Centenary has more on the case.
There are stories that begin long before anyone thinks to pay attention. This is one of them. Her name was Maria. She lived in Austin, Texas, a city that moves fast, full of people chasing something better. Maria was chasing something better too. She had come from far away, crossing borders and leaving behind everything she knew, searching for a life that felt safer, more stable. But life in Austin was not easy. It was not what she had imagined. To survive, Maria did what she felt she had no other choice but to do. She offered escort services, arranging meetings through online platforms, exchanging brief messages with strangers she had never met. Each meeting was short, transactional, and built entirely on limited information. She did not know these men. They did not know her. That was how it worked. And, because of her immigration status, because she was undocumented, she carried a weight that most people never have to think about. Every day came with a quiet fear. That one wrong step, one phone call to the wrong authority, could take everything from her. People in her situation are far less likely to report crimes. They know the system was not designed with them in mind. That silence, that fear, it makes them vulnerable in ways that most of us cannot fully understand. But Maria kept going. She kept answering messages. She kept making decisions quickly, the way you do when your life runs on thin margins. She had no reason to believe that the morning of September 24th, 2024, would be any different from all the other mornings that came before it. She woke up that day, and a message came in. She did not know that on the other side of that message was a man who had done this before. She did not know that she had been chosen, not by chance, but by design. She did not know that what was about to happen had been planned. None of us ever do. The message seemed normal. That is the part that is so hard to sit with. The man who sent it presented himself the way most clients did, direct, transactional, focused on arranging a meeting. There were no red flags in the language, no strange requests, no warning signs that Maria could have seen and acted on. He asked about availability. They agreed on a time, and the location was set, a hotel in Austin. Maria arrived the way she always did. This was routine. Just another appointment. Another stranger she would meet, exchange what was agreed upon, and then go home. She had no way of knowing that the man on the other side of this conversation had already thought through everything that was about to happen. The man arrived at the hotel in a dark-colored sedan. Surveillance cameras captured him pulling into the parking lot. At the time, nobody was watching. Nobody had any reason to be suspicious. He was just another guest checking in. He went up to the room. And then, within seconds of walking through that door, everything changed. According to Maria's own account, the testimony she gave to investigators, sitting through the pain and the fear of reliving it all, the man produced a knife almost immediately. He did not hesitate. He moved quickly, grabbing her, holding the blade close to her throat, cutting off her ability to scream, to run, to resist. The meeting had lasted less than a minute before it became something else entirely. He had brought tape. He tried to restrain her. When you hear that detail, the tape, you understand that this was not impulsive. This was not a man who snapped in the moment. This was preparation. This was someone who had thought about how to take control of another person and had come ready to do it. Maria fought back. That decision, to resist, it may have saved her life. Before the story continue, don't forget to share, like, and subscribe to this channel. I want you to really sit with what happened in that room. Because it is easy, when we talk about these cases, to reduce them to facts, evidence, timelines, charges filed. It is easy to treat a person's worst moment like a chapter in a textbook. But Maria was a human being in a room, fighting for her life. And she fought hard. The struggle was long and violent. Investigators who processed the scene afterwards described what they found. Blood on the walls, blood on the floor, physical damage throughout the room that told the story of someone who had refused to give up. Maria sustained serious injuries. Her face was bruised and swollen. Her nose was broken. She had been hurt badly. And yet, she kept fighting. At some point during the assault, Maria lost consciousness. The attack continued after that. When she came back to awareness, the man was gone. She was alive. I think about what it means to survive something like that. The word survivor gets used a lot, and sometimes I wonder if we really understand the weight of it. To survive is not just to breathe when it is over. It is to wake up the next morning knowing what happened to your body. It is to have to tell the story to investigators, to doctors, to lawyers, to strangers in a courtroom. It is to carry that night with you for the rest of your life. Maria did all of that. She was taken to the hospital. Medical staff documented her injuries with care. Forensic evidence was collected. The room was preserved as a crime scene. And the investigation began. Plano Police, we are using that name for the jurisdiction in this retelling, initiated a full inquiry. They pulled surveillance footage, collected DNA samples, analyzed movement patterns. The case moved quickly because the evidence was there. Someone had made mistakes, and investigators were going to find them. Here is something that people who commit calculated crimes often believe, that they are smarter than the systems designed to catch them. This man, we will call him Raymond Cole in this retelling, believed that he was protected by the silence of his victims. He believed that the women he targeted, women like Maria, would never speak up. And for a while he was right. There had been at least one earlier incident linked to him by DNA evidence. The victim in that case did not come forward. Raymond went free. But this time, something was different. Maria spoke. And when investigators started pulling the threads, the picture that emerged was damning. Cell phone records placed Raymond in direct contact with Maria before the meeting. The digital messages confirmed the arrangement. Surveillance footage captured his car, his dark sedan at the hotel. Traffic cameras and license plate readers tracked his movement before and after the crime. A search warrant was executed at his home. And there, in his residence, investigators found clothing with blood evidence. Every piece connected to every other piece. DNA, digital records, physical evidence, surveillance footage. It was a complete picture built from 100 smaller details, the kind of evidence that closes every door an attorney might try to open. Raymond was arrested in October 2024 and charged with aggravated sexual assault with a deadly weapon and aggravated assault. But here's the part that tells you the most about who this man was. While he was sitting in jail, waiting for trial, he made phone calls, recorded phone calls. And in those calls, investigators say, he expressed confidence that he would not be convicted. His reasoning? He believed Maria would not testify because of her immigration status, because he had counted on that silence before, and it had worked. He had built his entire method around the belief that certain women, vulnerable women, women with no safety net, would never speak in a courtroom. He was wrong. The trial took place in Collin County. We will keep that detail because the record is public and the outcome matters. Maria testified. She sat in that courtroom, in front of a jury, and she told the truth about what happened to her. She was not the only one. Several other women came forward during the investigation. Women who had encountered Raymond Cole before. Women who had stayed silent for years, for all the reasons that make silence feel like the only option. But now, with a case this solid, with a victim this brave, they found the strength to speak too. The prosecution built their case on multiple layers: DNA evidence, surveillance footage, phone records, physical evidence from the crime scene, Maria's testimony, and the testimonies of the other women. The defense challenged what it could, but there was too much. The evidence was consistent and overwhelming. The jury found Raymond Cole guilty on all major charges. During sentencing, the court weighed everything: the severity of the violence, the use of a deadly weapon, the pattern of repeated offenses, the calculated targeting of women he believed would never fight back. And the jury imposed a life sentence for aggravated sexual assault, plus an additional 20 years for aggravated assault, to be served at the same time. He will not be coming back. I want to end here, not with a verdict, but with the truth that this case revealed. There are people in our communities, People like Maria, who live in the shadows not by choice, but by circumstance. And because they live in those shadows, they become targets. Predators count on their silence. They bank on it. They build entire systems of harm around the assumption that certain people will never be believed, never be protected, never be heard. Maria refused to be silent. And, because of that, a pattern that had gone on for years was finally stopped. That is what courage looks like. Not the absence of fear. She had every reason to be afraid. But the decision to speak anyway. To walk into that courtroom anyway. To refuse to let him be right about her. The investigation is closed. The sentence is final. But Maria's story, the story of what she survived and what she chose to do about it, that is not something that ends with a verdict. That is something worth remembering. Follow for part 2.